All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name, Dan Hendricks. Thank you for watching this video. Check out my website, dancethecosmos.com. And this is part one in the series of understanding the planets through exploring the nature of their nakshatras. So the first nakshatra, this is the first video, the first nakshatra in the order of the nakshatras is Ketu. Ketu, so let's go ahead and look at this graphic now. Ketu rules three nakshatras. Ketu rules Ashwini, Magha, and Moola. So first and foremost, Ketu is the first planet talked about. It's the first planet because this is the first nakshatra. Ashwini is the first nakshatra. All the counting of the nakshatras commences with Ashwini. It says so much in Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, and I'm sure in a bunch of other texts as well. Now, so what do we know about Ashwini? Well, what does Ashwini mean? Okay, so Ashwini means horseman. So it has to do with horses. The deity is the Ashwin, which are the twin horsemen. They're the twin horsemen brothers who are like the physicians of the gods. And I was actually just reading this story about like the mythology related to the Ashwin twins. This isn't all of the mythology of it, but it was to the extent there was this one being that was endowed with like the it was like this incredible like essence of immortality. It would grant immortality to whoever possessed this like knowledge or possessed this energy. And this is something that none of the gods had. All the gods wanted this. And so the Ashwin, because they were the healers of the gods, their healing force, they wanted this so much that they went and they sought out this person, and they said, or this being, I should say. I don't think it was really a person necessarily. And they sought out this being, and they said, "Hey, look, we know that you told Brahma, the creator, that you would not share with this with anybody, or he'd come and cut off your head. So here's what we'll do: is we will go ahead and put a horse's head on you." So you can tell us this, that when Brahma comes to cut off your head, then what we will do is we'll quickly put your human head, which we kept preserved, or your normal head, which we kept preserved, and put it back on so you can go back to living your life, and then you can give us that secret. And so sure enough, that's what they did. He had his head cut off, they reattached it, and they got the secret of immortality. So there's a couple things that this tells us about the Ashwin twins. Is the Ashwin twins, they're the healers, they're the physicians, but it's like they always want more information. It's like they need to have that one big secret. And so that's what that story kind of tells us about the Ashwin, is that they want to help, and they want to know the biggest, most important body of knowledge that there is so that they can help. And then when we look at the Shakti power and the Shakti result here, it's like, oh, this is all starting to make sense why I chose to talk about this one aspect or story of the Ashwin. Well, because they're about, the Shakti power is getting somewhere fast. The Shakti result is healing the world. So it's right, so that it's the energy to go somewhere fast, to get to where they need to do. And why are they trying to get to where they need to do? Because they want to heal the world. They want to make the world a better place. They're not getting somewhere fast to heal a person. It doesn't say here, heal one person, right? I've heard a lot people say that, some physicians, if they have some physicians, there might be a requirement to have Ashwini strong, or an expectation for Ashwini, for prominent planets in that person's chart to be in Ashwini. That's possibly the case, but this is more like the energy, right? And so this is the energy to get somewhere fast, to make the world better. Because why did the Ashwins want that energy? Did they want that energy of immortality to be able to help one individual case? No, they wanted that energy of immortality so they could, because they were the physicians of the gods, right? They were the ones that healed the gods. So, or the other deities, however you want to look at that. And so their thing is to really about bringing healing energy and making things better, getting somewhere fast, getting the job done, getting to where it needs to go. because that's also the idea of a horse. We talk about horsemen here. Horse, it gets to where it's going on its path in the fastest way possible, and very strong, very endurant. And then when we look at the basis above and the basis below, which again, this is kind of like, you can kind of look at it as related to power and result, but it's like, so you have one, it's like having two paradigms, is the way I look at the basis above and the basis below. So the two paradigms that are being related are those to be healed, and then the basis below is the healing therapies, right? So this is about, so now when we're looking at it, we're seeing that this is about bringing, having the energy, having the body of knowledge, which is what having the basis below of healing therapies are, because there's all these other people that need it out there. So it's about working like for a greater good. Because when we're talking about healing the world, it's because we have this internal knowledge that we want to bring, and we see all the other people. So this is a very, and then you'll see here real quick, the nature is swift and light. So the energy that Ashwini, when we're tying it into Ketu, what this means is that Ketu is going to want to get to where it needs to go as fast as it possibly can. It's going to want to provide the best result, because it has a strong amount of skills that it has, and it knows that there's a group of people that need that energy brought to them. And it's about, again, swift and light. It's about moving fast. So that's what we know that the energy of Ashwini is represented by, and then how that applies to Ketu. So we know now that Ketu has a certain amount of intelligence and knows that there's other people it wants to spread that with. And it knows that it wants to get there and do it fast. And it's getting there fast to bring this energy outward, because it's going to help everybody. So now let's look at, so that's the first set of nakshatras. The first nakshatra, this is ruled by Ketu. This is Ashwini. Now we have the next set of nakshatras, and this is ruled by, or this is called Magha, which means reward or bounty. So this is what we get out of something. So Magha literally means reward or bounty, because if you were paid a bounty, it's because you gave something, right? If you receive a reward, it's because you did something. So it's like, it's this idea of getting something for something that you have accomplished. And then we're going to see here the deity is the Pitris, which is the ancestral fathers. I did some research on the Pitris, and it's very interesting. And the Pitris are like these, there's different like sets of groups of the Pitris, of the ancestral fathers and our forebearers. And so basically what it is it's basically like the people that we are attached to through our ancestry. I believe there's 7 different levels, and I've heard about this before, about when it comes to ancestry, that like our karma dates back to like 7 levels of ancestry back, or maybe it's our genetics is related to 7 levels of ancestry back. And so I found that really fascinating. I kind of saw a correlation there. But so the Pitris represent these deities, is like the energy of like our forefathers, what is being brought to us. And so when we're talking about Magha being reward and bounty, the Pitris being our ancestral fathers, it's like that which we get. That it's like the energy of what is being brought to us that has been handed down from other generations. It's like we haven't actually created it, we're kind of giving it. And then what we're going to see here, what's interesting, is the Shakti power of Moola Nakshatra is to leave the body, and the result is death. And so this is really fascinating, because we're talking about our ancestral fathers giving us reward or bounty, but then it's about leaving the body and death. It's about letting things go. And so this is kind of a, looking at it this way, is kind of a paradigm twist or a conundrum. So, and then let's go ahead and get down here to the basis above and the basis below. So the basis below is leaving the body, and the basis above is the people that are mourning because of this is going on. And we see the nature is fierce. This is an intense nakshatra. So what this is about is, it's about, because nakshatras are about creation. So it's about like because it's related to our ancestry. It's about what we're being given, and then it's also about death. And when we talk about death, this doesn't mean that if you're born in this nakshatra that you're going to die or that you're going to die during the dasha cycle of this planet. What this means is this planet is looking to create things by letting go of old concepts. And that's sort of like the reward that because we're being guided by our ancestral forefathers, right? Our ancestry, the deities are giving us the reward of what we have by letting, but what we're forced to do by getting this is we're forced to leave, we're leaving something behind, right? And it's going to be kind of a sad and an intense situation, right? So we're going to get this intense reward, this intense karmic reward from our forefathers to leave behind something. And that's the energy that it's going to come with. So if you have planets in this nakshatra, what we would expect to see is that there's going to become points in time where you're either going to be stuck in this nakshatra of not wanting to let go of something and finding struggles, or you're going to be the type of person that's just going to be like, all right, I got to let that resolve. So what does this tell us about Ketu? Well, first we learned that Ketu, with the healing the world, those to be healed, healing therapies, and getting there fast and light, that Ketu has the energy to take us somewhere fast, use its skills, make the situation better. And then we know through Magha that Ketu also has a darker side, where it's going to give you some situations in life. You're going to be put in some situations where you're going to have to leave something behind. And that's kind of like the reward. That's what it's bringing to you. It's like, but it's things that are a little bit more fated because it's given by your ancestry that you might have to deal with. And so that's one way of looking at it, right? There's a million different ways of understanding these nakshatras because they have so many qualities. And so finally, we get down to Moola Nakshatra. Moola Nakshatra means root or commencement. Moola literally means root. It means the start. It means commencement. So, like if you think about, I think so I'll add something here. I believe that this, like the picture or the image involved with Moola is like a root of herbs. So it's like the roots of something and where something goes deep. And then what we see here is the deity of Moola is Nirati, also called Alakshmi, which is the goddess of disaster. So Alakshmi is the opposite of Lakshmi. So what do we know about Lakshmi is the consort of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is like the sustainer of the universe. He's the architect of the universe. The whole universe like springs up out of his navel. And Lakshmi is like clinging to Vishnu's breast. And Lakshmi herself represents wealth and prosperity. So Alakshmi so Nirati is goddess of disaster. Alakshmi is representative of the idea of the opposite of wealth and prosperity, which is of letting go of things. So when we talk about Moola Nakshatra, we're talking about getting to the root of a problem or situation or condition. We're getting to the root of it. How are we getting there? By disaster, by breaking it down. So now when we get into the Shakti power and the Shakti result, we're going to see here the Shakti power is to ruin or destroy. So it's to break things down. The Shakti result is the power to destroy. So we're ruining and destroying something and we're gaining the power to do that. And the basis above is the breaking of things apart. And the basis below is crushing things. So basis below down here is crushing things, and the basis above is breaking things apart. Things that need to be broken apart, we're doing that by crushing it. And it's a sharp and hot and a horrible nakshatra. That means it's very intense. So the whole idea of Moola is breaking things down to the root, destroying, dismantling something to break it all the way down to the root. And that's the energy that we're going to have transferred here to Ketu. So what does this tell us about Ketu? Well, this tells us, after looking at all three of these, that Ketu is going to get where it needs to go fast. It has a huge body of knowledge that it's going to want to help a greater vision of itself, then it represents the reward or the bounty. So I like to look at this. I was kind of saving the best for last year. I like to look at Magha as like karma. Karma is like the reward of what we've got. But karma's, I've heard karma, it's talked about in many different levels. There's the personal individual level of karma. There's like the nation level of karma. There's the continental level of karma. There's the earth level of karma. There's the solar system level of karma, the galactic karma, the universal karma. So I think that this is like your ancestral karma. The results being guided by your people to make it through difficult situations. And so this is Magha's, Ketu's about, you know, letting things go, having to separate ourselves from things. Maybe it's things that we want to hold on to because it's like a reward, because Magha's reward or bounty. And this reward or bounty, I guess there's another way to look at that too. You could look at that reward or bounty as like there's a reward out for us, right? And so eventually things are going to break down and transform. And that's kind of what death always represents, transformation. So this is a nakshatra about having to let go of some of the things that we've kind of brought into this world, or maybe we feel targeted to have things taken from us. And maybe that's how the energy gets expressed. So Ketu can represent that, of leaving the body in death, of having to leave things behind. And then Ketu also has the energy to tear things down to their root and wanting to break it down to the core of what it is. So now, what do we know about Ketu? So we see all this energy going Ketu's way. Well, we know that Ketu is a cruel planet. Well, we can see that Ketu is a cruel planet because it's got these two really cruel nakshatras, or cruel sounding energy to these nakshatras that Ketu is associated with. That if we're looking in this instance, we're looking at defining Ketu through these nakshatras. So what we're going to see is Ketu is going to really want to feel things. If Ketu is going to do something, Ketu is going to take action in the world. It's going to be to heal. It's going to be to help. It's going to be about healing stuff. And whenever we talk about healing, we're talking about resolution. And of all three of these nakshatras, resolution is a common theme between the three of them. Ketu is about, or I'm sorry, Ashwini is about fixing something fast because there's something that needs to be fixed and I have the skills to do it. Magha is about it's about resolution of something because it's about death. It's about letting that thing go. And then Moola is about breaking that thing down to its core, getting rid of all the things around it that don't matter. So all of these are about resolution. And we know that Ketu is about the resolving of a past karmic situation that we're bringing into this lifetime that we clinged a little bit too much. We've clinged or leaned that particular area during that lifetime. So this is how we can further understand how Ketu gets that definition by looking at these nakshatras, because they're helping us to see that Ketu is all about wanting to break things down and let go of those things that we have that are no longer serving us, and to basically make it a better. But Ketu also is where we tend to lean, especially earlier in life, because we have like the basis below, the healing therapies. We have that kind of strength, and we know we can bring that into the world. Like, we know we have that, but we also know we have to leave it behind. And the whole idea here is to break ourselves down to our true core nature, which is our spiritual self, which is to uniting with our bigger self. And you can see that this is the first set of nakshatra of Ketu. This is where we typically go in the world when we're younger. We want to just stay here because this is what we know we have a body of knowledge for that we can bring to the world. And then we go through this period of Ketu of disappointment, right? Where we're like, wow, this that I have, this reward or bounty, of this energy, this body of knowledge I have, it's not serving me anymore. I need to get away with it so I can break myself down into this the core of what I really am, and get rid of this idea that of me, of I, you know, and reunite with a bigger purpose, unite with our greater self, however you want to look at that. So that's how we can take the understanding of the nakshatras here to further define Ketu. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed making this video, and thank you very much for watching, and namaste.